Hello, everybody. We're gonna start like 3 minutes earlier. Um, so, all right, I'm gonna talk about well, what villains should be in a Batman Part Two, or villains should be in a Batman, or what villains should be in a Batman Part Two. So, so let's start off with Mr. Freeze. Now, Mr. Freeze, he is a cool villain, but I don't think he should be the main villain in Batman Part Two. Because if you remember that show or remember that TV show Gotham, they had a pretty good Mr. Freeze with that, with a pretty cool suit freezing people. So we had a good live action Mr. Freeze. Not the one in Batman and Robin, but the one in Gotham, where he was actually like an actual, like a real life Mister Freeze. It was more accurate. So that's why I don't think Mister Freeze should be the main villain in the Batman Part Two, because we already saw him in Gotham. And I don't know how Matt Reeves is gonna do Mister Freeze if pretty much everything done about Mister Freeze has was done in the Gotham TV show. All right, so let's talk about. Wait, wait. Sure. Okay. All right, let's talk. Okay. All right. Okay, wait, hold on. Wait. Okay, let's talk about Scarecrow. So now Scarecrow, he's another cool villain. But I don't think he should be the main villain of Batman Part Two, because he was in Batman Begins. Now people people would say he wasn't really like the main villain in Batman Begins. You could say Ra's al Ghul was the main villain in Batman Begins, but Scarecrow was still in Batman Begins, and he was Scarecrow was still pretty cool in Batman Begins, even though all he wore was a Scarecrow mask. But if you've seen the Gotham TV show, they had a pretty cool and accurate looking Scarecrow. Um, let me show you. Yeah, so Scarecrow. You look to like left, that's Scarecrow. Uh, so yeah, that's what he looked like in the Gotham TV show. And there was some pretty cool scenes that I seen in the Gotham TV show with Scarecrow, like Scarecrow versus Jim Gordon, and then Scarecrow escape. That was a pretty cool scene. And the actor who played Scarecrow, there was actually two actors who played Scarecrow, and it was Charlie Tahan and David W. Thompson. So yeah, like in the different seasons of the Gotham TV show, two people play Scarecrow. So that's a, that's another reason why Scarecrow shouldn't be the main villain in Batman Part Two. Yeah, like uh, yeah, for instance, like let's do Hush next. So I don't think Hush should be the main villain of Batman Part Two because a lot of fans of the Batman who do not want Hush to be the main villain of Batman Part
So, if you're scared to show your face in Gotham, that's
Two. And
bad.
also, we
Like, what's under there?
got a live action Hush
Aren't you supposed to say hush?
in the Batwoman TV show.
No
There's
offense,
Hush
but I've been
scene
kidnapped
in
by
Batwoman-
worse, and
Batwoman
I know if
TV
you haven't
show.
killed me yet, it means
This
you
is a pretty
can't kill
cool
me.
scene with Hush. And I don't think Hush should be
Kate,
the
this is
Batman
Mary.
Part Two because
Wait.
we've seen on a live action
Are we
before.
allowed to use our real names?
Batwoman TV.
It doesn't matter. I'm in Somerset.
Okay, there's a van going south on the Williams Viaduct. It just triggered 3 speed
Hush
trap
was-
cams.
I still would be
Probably
fine
him.
with Hush
I'm
being the
hitting
main villain of
I
Batman Part
don't
2.
know if that's a good idea.
But I just
let me
don't.
zoom in real quick.
If my read ends
How
up
do you...
doing
Is there a
Hush, but I just don't
manual?
think.
Oh...
I just don't think
okay.
it's a good idea
Hello?
to have Hush.
Can you still hear me? I think you're driving the wrong way on a one-way. Kate! You're going the wrong way!
Okay. Okay. It's called Killer Croc. So, Killer Croc is another villain that I don't think should be Batman Part 2. Because not only is he muscular a little bit, he's seen him in live action Catwoman. So he's seen him already in live action. But the thing is, so far with why I said this concept show Mr. Freeze, seen him in live action. But on the TV show, they haven't called that. So these ones are pretty cool. That is you have to do live action. That has to be live action. If you haven't you just haven't seen them in live action fighting Batman. Okay, now to the next villain. All right, let's talk about. Okay. right, the next villain I'm gonna talk about is Professor Pig. So now Professor Pig, I don't think he should be the main villain of Batman Part Two because I don't know. It's like he was in a live action TV show too, and he was pretty cool. Like there was a lot of scenes that was pretty cool, but for instance, this scene Tanner Jim Jordan, this is pretty cool. And there's another scene with Professor Pig and Jim Jordan where I thought was pretty cool in the Gotham TV. One thing Professor Pig should be the main villain of Batman Part Two because he's not really that interesting. But like I said before, the other villains that I mentioned, Professor Pig, everyone uses Professor Pig. You can go ahead. Professor Pig should be the main villain of Batman Part Two.
Come on, Jim. Don't give up. You'll ruin everything.
The average person sees hundreds of online ads daily. Here's how a man's life would change if he used...
Sorry, boss. What? The mayor, our mayor, vowed that all of the Red Hoods would... This Falcon... I don't understand me. I asked.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Victor Zos. Okay, I don't think that Victor Zos should be the main villain of Batman Part Two. Um, well, he's an okay villain, but he's not really like an awesome villain. Like he was in the Gotham TV show too. Like the Gotham TV show. I didn't say this earlier, but it came out. I think it aired from 2014 to 2019. So, with Victor Zos, he could be an okay villain in Batman Part Two. It's just like I don't think he should be the main villain in Batman Part Two. Is like there's some scenes where Victor Zos is shooting guns at people. But Victor Zos should not be the main villain in Batman Part Two. I don't even think he should be a side. Well, he could be a side villain. Okay, side villain. Like so far, I said like I talk about how I said Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Hush, Professor Pig, and Victor Zos. They all shouldn't be like main villains of Batman Part Two, but they could be okay side villains. All right. right. Okay, let me stop talking about the villains that shouldn't be in the Batman Part Two. Let me just say who should be the main villain of Batman Part Two. Okay, the main villain of the Batman Part Two should be Calendar Man. Like, it would be so cool to see Calendar Man commit crimes based off holidays and dates. Like, that's what he does in the comics. He commits crimes off calendars and dates. So I think Calendar Man would be a cool and great villain for the Batman Part Two. Maverick should do the Calendar Man for the Batman Part Two's main villain. And then Robert Pattinson even said how he had interest in including Calendar Man for the Batman Part Two as the main villain or villain. And Matt Reeves, Matt Reeves, I think, said that he's expressed interest in Calendar Man being the main villain of Batman Part Two too. So yeah, there's been rumors about how Calendar Man could be in the Batman Part Two. So Calendar Man was discussed to be in that Gotham TV show, but it never happened though. So, but I think we could finally see Calendar Man in live action fighting Batman in a Batman Part Two. So I think Calendar Man should be the main villain in the Batman Part Two. All right, so my next villain, let's talk about Two Face, Harvey Dent or Two Face. So, so obviously this is a picture of Two Face and the TV show Gotham Knights that premiered back in 2023. Now this is a pretty cool looking Two Face. We also had Two Face in the Dark Knight, but I don't I don't think Matt Reeves should have Two Face be the main villain. Like in the Batman, Gil Colson was the DA or district attorney, and Gotham is gonna need a new attorney. So since Gil Colson blew up and the Batman, there Gotham's gonna need a new DA or district attorney, and that could be Harvey Dent. So yeah, but he shouldn't be like the main villain in the Batman Part Two. Hopefully, I do want to see Two Face in the Batman Part Two, but not as the main villain. All right, let's talk about Azrael. Azrael, he's an okay villain too, and he was in the Gotham TV show in live action. But he shouldn't be the main villain in the Batman Part Two. I don't think Azrael is cool enough to be the main villain in the Batman Part Two. My reason is to choose a cool and awesome villain that fans would want as the main villain. And that's yeah, so Azrael should not be the main villain of Batman Part Two. It should be what I said before, which was Calendar Man. Calendar Man should be the main villain of Batman Part Two. All right, let's talk about the Joker. So we all know that the Joker was in the Batman. He was talking to the Riddler, and basically it teased the future team up between the two in the future, the Batman movie. So obviously, there's a lot of people that do not want the Joker as the Batman Part Two's main villain. I do not want the Joker as the main villain of Batman Part Two. The only reason why I don't want the Joker as the main villain of Batman Part Two is because I want Counterman as the Batman Part Two's main villain. And also, we had way too much Joker. The Joker was in the Dark Knight. The Joker was in that Gotham TV show. Uh, we had Joker had even had his own movie, Joker, the Joker movie that came out in 2019, and Joker Folia Duh. So Joker's had his own movie. What else has he been? I think he's been on. He was in that Batman movie that came out in the 1980s. Oh, and the Joker was in Suicide Squad, played by Jared Leto. So yeah, so there's really been a lot of I think we had enough Joker in live action. So yeah, so the Joker should not be the main villain in the Batman Part Two. All right, let's talk about Bane. The next one, another villain in the Batman's Rose Gallery. Okay, so I don't think Bane should be the main villain in Batman Part Two. My reason to do something new. He needs to pick a new villain, a villain that hasn't been in live action before, a villain that needs to take their turn in the spotlight against Batman. So so But yeah, I mean Bane, like he was the main villain in The Dark Knight Rises, and we also had Bane on the Gotham TV show. We even saw Bane use a gun in the Gotham TV show. So I don't think Bane should be the main villain of Batman Part Two. All right, let's talk about the Riddler. Well, obviously the Riddler won't be the main villain of Batman Part Two because he's locked up in Arkham Asylum. So but the Riddler will return in some way to team up with the Joker to wreak havoc on Gotham and fight against Batman. So, um, so yeah, but the Riddler, we did get another live action Riddler in the Gotham TV show too, and obviously to say which one was better, the Riddler and the Batman was better than the Riddler and the Gotham TV show. The Riddler and the Batman was much cooler than the Riddler and the Gotham TV show. And the Riddler was in Batman, the movie Batman Forever, but he was more like he was not cool at all in Batman Forever. Like he was basically like a joke villain. Like should I say Joe villain? Like, um, he's basically was a little bit too silly in Batman Forever. But anyway, the Batman was much more grounded, and the Riddler was an awesome villain in Batman. The next villain is Mad Hatter or the Mad Hatter. He should not be the main villain of Batman Part Two because, like, I don't see how what he does like makes him so cool. But anyway, I mean, the Mad Hatter has not been on the big screen before in live action fighting against Batman. So, but I don't know. I just we seen him in the Gotham TV show. We saw what he can do, but we saw a little bit of his powers in the Gotham TV show. But I really want Calendar Man the most as the main villain of Batman Part Two. So so the Mad Hatter. I don't think the Mad Hatter should be the main villain in Batman Part Two. The next villain is Poison Ivy. Now, I don't think Poison Ivy should be the main villain of Batman Part Two because, uh, well, obviously because I want Calendar Man, but actually, you know what? Poison Ivy, I think she could be a cool main villain though because of her powers that she does, her powers with plants. But I really want Calendar Man. I really want Calendar Man as the main villain in the Batman Part Two. And then Poison Ivy was in the Gotham TV show, and so we seen her in live action before. She was also in live action in the Batman and Robin movie. But I really hope Matt Reeves chooses Calendar Man as the main villain of Batman Part Two. Next villain is Black Mask. Well, obviously, Black Mask is what he does is usually shoot guns with a weapon. Yeah, or like shoot with his guns. And he was in the Batwoman TV show in live action, but that was only live action Black Mask that we seen, which was in the Batwoman TV show. So I don't know. I don't think Black Mask should be the main villain in Batman Part Two. Next, we have the Court of Owls. Now, the Court of Owls, like, that's not. They don't really seem like interesting villains to me. Like, like they do have like the talents that could fight Batman, but like I don't know. It's like Court of Owls. They could like shoot guns at Batman, but like I don't know. I don't think the Court of Owls should not be the main villain of Batman Part Two. I don't know. I think the Court of Owls should be saved for like I don't know, for like I don't know, the Batman Part Four. I don't know. Like if we are gonna get, we know we're gonna get a trilogy for the Batman, but let's say if they let's say after three movies they could do a fourth the Batman movie. Maybe that's when I'll see the Court of. I want to see the Court of Owls. And last but not least, um, let's talk about Deathstroke. I'm gonna talk about Deathstroke. Well, Deathstroke he was in live action in the TV show Titans, fighting Robin. So yeah, I don't think yeah, um, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna say that Deathstroke should not be the main villain of Batman Part Two. Deathstroke he's cool and all, but like he's not gonna be like he's not gonna be like a villain that's gonna amaze me in the Batman Part Two with his powers. I'm also fine with like some lesser known villains that haven't been in live action to fight Batman on the big screen, like Catman. Like Catman, he's a Batman villain in the DC comics. I'm fine with Catman being one of the main villains in the Batman Part Two too. If Matt Reeves does not choose Calendar Man, I'm fine with Catman as a main villain in the Batman Part Two. Yeah, I know this is probably not a perfect picture, so it's too small, but um another villain that I'm fine with Batman fighting is Crazy Quilt. I know you may think he may be a joke villain, but I don't know. I think it might be cool if Barry's used Crazy Quilt to fight for the Batman Part Two's main as the Batman Part Two's main villain. I'm also fine with Egghead being the main villain of Batman Part Two. Another villain that I will be fine with in a Batman Part Two is Doctor Death. I really don't know much about his powers as much, but he looks like a pretty cool Batman villain. So yeah. And another villain that I'll be fine with in the Batman Part 2 as the main villain is Killer Moth. I think Killer Moth was originally supposed to be in the canceled Batgirl movie, but but since the Batgirl movie was canceled, we never got to see Killer Moth. So anyway, those are just my opinions of why and why not certain Batman villains should be in the main villain of Batman Part 2. So for instance, I said Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Professor Pig, Victor Zos, Mad Hatter, and Hush. All of those should not be the main villain of Batman Part 2 because we see them in some form of live action. But so Matt Reeves should use Killer Moth, Catman, Egghead, Dr. Death, or my pick, which is Calendar Man as the main villain in the Batman Part 2.